What would you do if the woman you loved, the one you built a life with, etched her betrayal into something as mundane as a car registration? I never thought I'd find myself staring at a glowing phone screen at 2 a.m., the harsh blue light illuminating a document that felt like a punch to the gut. It wasn't just a new car, a sleek black Mercedes Jill 450, parked innocently in our Los Angeles driveway. It was the name on the registration papers, a name that wasn't mine, a name that belonged to the man who was systematically dismantling my world. Mark, not a common name, but one I knew intimately now, a name that had become a whisper of dread in the quiet corners of our home. The car, her new pride and joy, was registered to Sarah Miller and Mark Jensen. My wife Sarah had named her new car after her lover. Right there in black and white, a brazen declaration of their affair. My hands trembled, the phone almost slipping from my grasp, as the full, sickening weight of her audacity crashed down on me. This wasn't just cheating. This was a calculated public insult, a monument to her deceit. As I stood there, the city lights of Hollywood Hills twinkling oblivious outside our window, I knew one thing with absolute certainty. This was war, and I was about to become a general of retribution. If you genuinely enjoy our stories, please subscribe to the channel. Tell us where you're from. And what time it is right now, it's always fascinating to know how far our story flows. The humiliation was a physical ache, a constant pressure behind my eyes, a knot in my stomach that refused to loosen. For 12 years, Sarah and I had built a life in our beautiful home in Bel Air, a life I thought was solid, unbreakable. We had our routines, our inside jokes, our shared dreams, or so I thought. The signs in hindsight were glaring, but love, or perhaps willful blindness, had kept me from seeing them. Late nights at work, vague excuses about client dinners, a sudden obsession with her appearance that went beyond our usual date nights. She'd started carrying her phone everywhere, even to the bathroom, and the once-open screen was now always face down. Her eyes, once warm and inviting, had taken on a distant, almost predatory gleam. The slow discovery began subtly. A receipt for a high-end restaurant, the Ivy on Robertson Boulevard, tucked into her purse, a place we hadn't been to in months. But the date on the receipt was from a night she claimed to be working late. Then, a text message notification flashed across her screen while she was showering, a snippet visible. "Can't wait for tomorrow." My love, my heart hammered against my ribs. I didn't snoop then, not fully. I told myself it was a friend, a misunderstanding. But the seed of doubt had been planted, and it began to sprout thorns. Sarah became cold, manipulative. Our conversations grew terse, punctuated by her sighs of impatience. She'd gaslight me, twisting my concerns into accusations of insecurity. "You're being paranoid, David. I'm busy, that's all. Why can't you just trust me?" Her voice, once a melody, now felt like a sharp, cutting instrument. She'd leave her phone just out of reach, a silent dare, knowing I wouldn't cross that line. But the car registration, that was the line. That was the moment the loyal, trusting husband died, and something colder, more calculating, was born. Mark Jensen, the man whose name now adorned her car, was a partner at her law firm, a smug, self-satisfied shark I'd met once at a company holiday party. He'd looked at Sarah with an ownership that had pricked at me even then, a fleeting discomfort I'd dismissed as professional admiration. Now, I saw it for what it was, a predator marking his territory. They felt untouchable, I realized. Sarah, with her newfound confidence and expensive gifts, and Mark, with his arrogant smirk. They believed they were clever, that I was too naive, too devoted to ever see through their charade. I broke down, truly. The nights were the worst. I'd lie awake, staring at the ceiling, the image of Sarah and Mark together replaying in my mind, a grotesque film reel. The betrayal was a poison, seeping into every memory, every shared moment, tainting it all. I lost weight, my work suffered, and friends noticed my hollow eyes. "You okay, man?" they'd ask, and I'd force a smile, a lie. But beneath the surface, a plan was forming, a cold, precise blueprint for their downfall. I began to gather proof, meticulously, secretly. I installed discreet cameras in the house, not to catch them in the act, but to document Sarah's comings and goings, her late-night calls, her hushed conversations. I hired a private investigator, a quiet man named Frank from a small office in downtown LA, who provided me with irrefutable evidence. Photos of Sarah and Mark entering and leaving a discreet apartment. Building in Santa Monica receipts for lavish dinners, even a video of them holding hands on a beach in Malibu. The car registration was the final damning piece, a public record of their affair. I consulted with a divorce attorney, a formidable woman named Eleanor Vance, whose reputation for ruthlessness preceded her. She listened, her expression unreadable, as I laid out my case, the stack of evidence growing higher on her polished mahogany desk. The traps were set. Eleanor advised me on the legal intricacies, the financial implications. Sarah had been careful, but not careful enough. The Mercedes, registered in both their names, was a joint asset, but also a clear indicator of commingled funds and a shared life outside our marriage. We filed for divorce, citing irreconcilable differences, but Eleanor had a few surprises up her sleeve. We also filed a civil suit against Mark for alienation of affection, a rarely used but potent legal weapon in California, especially with such blatant evidence. The public exposure was swift and brutal. The divorce papers, once filed, became public record. The civil suit against Mark, with its detailed allegations and photographic evidence, was picked up by a local gossip blog, then by a larger news outlet. Sarah's carefully constructed image as a successful, devoted wife and lawyer crumbled. Her colleagues, her friends, even her family, saw the truth laid bare. The Mercedes, once a symbol of her new life, became a scarlet letter, a constant reminder of her infidelity, especially when the story of its registration hit the headlines. Mark, the smug affair partner, found his own reputation in tatters. His firm, a prestigious one, began to distance itself, fearing the scandal. His wife, whom he had also been cheating on, filed for divorce, taking half his assets and leaving him professionally and personally ruined. Sarah was completely ruined. The divorce settlement, thanks to Eleanor's strategic brilliance and the overwhelming evidence, left her with little more than her professional reputation, which was now in tatters. She lost her partnership at the firm, her social circle evaporated, and the house in Bel Air, our home, was mine. The Mercedes, the symbol of her betrayal, was sold. Its proceeds split, a final, bitter taste of justice. I saw her once months later at a coffee shop on Melrose Avenue. She looked older, her eyes haunted, her arrogance replaced by a fragile vulnerability. She didn't see me and I didn't approach. There was nothing left to say. The silence in the house now is different. It's not the heavy, suffocating silence of betrayal, but a quiet, cold emptiness. The echoes of laughter, of shared dreams, have faded, replaced by the stark reality of what was lost and what was gained. The revenge was complete, precise, and utterly devastating. But the victory tasted like ash. Sometimes in the dead of night I still wonder if it was worth the cost. The end.